Everyone thinks a 4K dash cam guarantees crystal clear plates and courtroom-ready evidence, but here's the thing: raw resolution isn't what saves you when it matters. Motion blur, glare control, and parking reliability do. And that's exactly where the Vantrue X4S either redeems the 4K hype or wastes your money. I ran the X4S for 3 weeks across city commutes, highway sprints, rainy nights, and 110-degree cabin heat with hardwired parking. The surprise: my best evidence clips weren't always in 4K. Stay with me, because what I discovered about frame rates, settings, and power draw completely flipped my expectations of this camera. Before we dive into what I discovered, quick heads up. If you're already leaning toward the Vantrue X4S, I've got a link below to the best current price and any active coupons. But hang tight, because the catch with plate capture and parking mode might change which version you buy. Look, here's the deal. I bought the X4S after a hit and run in a grocery lot left me with a dent and zero footage from my old cam's useless parking mode. I needed real evidence this time. I wanted 4K clarity for plates, a supercapacitor for summer heat, and parking modes that actually trigger when someone bumps or walks around the car. I've tested cheaper cams that smeared headlights into white blobs and higher-end sets that needed monthly troubleshooting. So I mounted the X4S at the top of my windshield with the optional GPS mount, hardwired it, and ran it through a week of daytime freeway driving, a week of night city driving, and a week mostly parked at work and in a dim garage. I went in hopeful but skeptical. I've been burned by 4K before. Daytime performance first. In 4K 30 FPS, the X4S is legitimately sharp. Street signs and lane markings pop, and at 35 mph I was pulling readable plates from about 60 feet when lighting was good. Dynamic range is solid for a dash cam. With the sun low on the horizon, it kept sky detail without crushing shadows in the dash. Add a CPL filter and windshield reflections dropped dramatically, which boosted plate clarity in noon sun. But then I switched to 2.7K 60 FPS to chase motion detail. That's where things got interesting. At speed, the extra frames smoothed motion enough that plate reads were actually more consistent during quick passes and merges. You trade some fine detail, but you win usable evidence when it counts. Night testing in drizzle and wet blacktop is where many 4K cams fall apart. The X4S's sensor and fast lens combo do respectable work. Headlight flare is controlled, signs are legible, and with exposure nudged down 1/3, plates at stoplights and low-speed pulls became readable more often instead of blowing out into white bars. On an unlit suburban road at 25 mph, I could pause and catch plate characters as I rolled past parked cars. Is it magic? No. Like every cam, retroreflective plates will blow out if your headlights flash them head-on at speed. But compared to older 4K units I've used, the X4S holds edges better and keeps noise in check. It's not night vision wizardry, just well-tuned processing. Parking mode was my make or break. Hardwired, the X4S offers impact detection, motion-triggered clips, time-lapse, and a low bitrate continuous option. In motion trigger mode, it picked up people approaching from the front at about 15-20 feet and started recording quickly enough to capture faces as they got to the door. G-sensor triggers from a deliberate bumper tap locked a file instantly. But then the power numbers, measured with an inline meter, low bitrate parking drew roughly a 1/4 amp in my setup, while time-lapse at 1 FPS cut that nearly in half. Translation: if you park all day, run time-lapse to save your battery. If you want a continuous record in a risky area, expect more draw. Over a 9-hour workday with a healthy battery and cutoff set to 12.0 V, I had no trouble. In a weekend airport lot, I switched to time-lapse. App and connectivity are fine. The 5 GHz Wi-Fi is genuinely faster than the old 2.4 GHz crowd. Connecting took me about 8 seconds consistently, and pulling a 100 MB clip took roughly half a minute on my phone. No cloud, no LTE, and you won't get event push alerts. On the upside, it's simple and reliable. The GPS mounts stamped speed and coordinates onto clips, which is great for insurance. Heat and reliability, the supercapacitor matters. I left the car baking in an open lot. Cabin temps peaked well past 100 F, and the X4S booted cleanly, saved files without corruption, and kept its clock synced with GPS. Loop recording at 3-minute intervals worked flawlessly. I used a 256 GB card to avoid constant overwrites. It handled it without complaint. Now the revelation. The most valuable footage I captured over 600 plus miles and about 30 hours wasn't in 4K. It was 2.7K at 60 FPS with exposure dialed down a touch and a CPL on sunny days. That combo produced more readable plates during actual movement than 4K 30 in many real-world conditions. The 4K mode still wins for static detail and wide scenic clarity, and if you want maximum sharpness for a still frame, it delivers. But if you care about catching a plate as that gray sedan squirts past you at 45 mph, frame rate often beats pixels. I also found that low bitrate parking looks okay for context, but time-lapse is the smarter choice for battery life unless you're worried about audio. Compared to alternatives, the X4S gives you cleaner night performance than the older Viafo 4K model I used, while undercutting cloud-based brands on price and complexity. It's not too good to be true, it's just tuned well with the caveat that you should tweak settings. Set EV to 0.3, use 2.7K 60 for daily driving, switch back to 4K for scenic or slower routes, and consider the CPL. Now that you know frame rate beats pixels in motion and how to set this up for real evidence, grab it while the coupons are live and the Duo stock doesn't yo-yo. Links are in the description for the best current price and the accessories I used. Bottom line, the Vantrue X4S is a genuinely strong dash cam if you prioritize evidence over marketing buzzwords. If you need cloud features, LTE, or voice control, look elsewhere. If you want reliable 4K front, optional rear, a heat-resistant capacitor, and flexible parking that actually triggers, this is a smart buy. Commuters, rideshare drivers, anyone parking on the street, get it and tune it right. Weekend drivers who never park in public can skip the accessories. Don't waste your money on 4K hype alone. Set it up the right way and the X4S punches way above its weight.